Hello everyone, we're here in Morgantown after Penn State just beat West Virginia 34-12. I'm Joel Haas with the Post-Gazette and the Daily Collegian, joined by Lyle Alenstein of the Daily Collegian. So Lyle, very long game, especially with the 2-hour and 20-minute rain delay in the middle during halftime, but what are your initial takeaways from the matchup?
Well, I mean, if you want to start with the rain delay, over 2 hours, we kept getting a lot of lightning strikes to stop the game from starting when it was supposed to. That's cool. Obviously, this gave a little flashbacks to when Penn State had that rain delay against Michigan State. Franklin talked about how they changed the approach based on that, when that happened, just the experience. Nick Singleton talked about making sure he's staying hydrated, stretching, just, not going to be one of those guys that goes on his phone. And they came out of the half firing on all cylinders. Nick Singleton had that big touchdown, so I thought that was important. But on the offensive side of the ball, Wallace III had a big game, going up for 5 catches, over 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. I think that's really important for the Penn State wide receiver room. Obviously, they had question marks all offseason, and obviously he's got a ton of buzz. We saw him in the Peach Bowl going for 4 catches, 67 yards, and a touchdown. Played really well in the spring game, so I think that's a big sign of things going forward for Penn State.
Yeah, I think pretty good things all around. Drew was 11 for 17 with a few touchdowns. A good game from him, maybe not as good as last year's matchup against West Virginia, but again, there were some factors going against him. I felt like they stuck to the run a little bit more. Again, it's a hostile environment, things like that. So everything considered, I thought Drew Allar played a really good game today, and he also got it done on the ground, 6 carries for 44 yards. James Franklin joked after the game that they call him Lamar Allar, or Lamar Allar, I guess, sounds a little bit better. Overall, again, a pretty solid game for Penn State, and like you mentioned, even coming out of the break, they didn't miss a step. They were good in pretty much both halves of the game. There are a few things you can kind of nitpick here and there. I would say offensively, obviously the fumbles in the first half, and then in the second half you had some defensive penalties, 3 on Abdul Carter, which you obviously never want to see. Giving up that many yards to an offense that was already struggling. You don't want to be giving them, free first downs and things like that. But just sticking with the defensive side of the ball, who are some guys who stood out to you?
I want to highlight the defensive line. Obviously, West Virginia's rushing attack is pretty lethal, and that's their bread and butter between Jaheim White, C.J. Donaldson, obviously Garrett Green, who's one of the best running cornerbacks in the country. So I thought, obviously, Abdul had those penalties, but off the edge, he did a really nice job in his debut. Spent most of his time here. I don't think they could play to snap at linebacker today. But then guys in the middle, I thought I was really impressed with Zane Durant. I thought he did a really nice job. Obviously, Devon J. Thomas. And then off the bench, you saw Alonzo Ford. He's gotten a lot of praise recently from James Franklin. Obviously, didn't play last year, coming in and transferring from ODU. Old Dominion, for those that need that clarification. I thought he did a really nice job. Zane Durant talked about him last at the post game that he was just a guy that they needed to take a step forward, and he's just done that. I think in the secondary, Jalen Reed, KJ Winston, I think this 3-safety look with Zaki really on the field benefits both of them tremendously. I think at the end of the first half, they had 16 total tackles, 2 pass breakups, fumble recovery, forced fumble, and I just think that's pretty good for them going forward.
Yeah, we saw Zaki and KJ obviously starting at safety, and then Jalen Reed playing the lion position, the new position in Tom Allen's 4-2-5 defense at cornerback. You had the 2 transfers, AJ Harris and Jalen Kimber, earning the start today. I thought they both played well. Some pass breakups, things like that. Jalen Kimber got caught on a hot mic after one of those pass breakups up in the press box. We don't have to get into the specifics with that one, but I thought defensively, again, a really good game. I think Reed and Winston led the team in tackles. Felt like Reed was everywhere, especially in that first half, just making tackles all over the place. So I think that line position, really, today was a really big day for him, and kind of solidifying the position and what Tom Allen has kind of done. Obviously getting rid of a linebacker at LBU, there's going to be some questions about, why are you doing that? Is it going to be effective? But I think the way that Reed played today kind of proved the line position, is necessary. It is a crucial piece of the defense and really does make a big difference in the game. You had Elliott Washington coming in at cornerback late in the game and picking off quarterback Garrett Green. Kind of killed a drive there, killed any momentum West Virginia had. Not that they had too much at that point in the game, but still a big play. It was a nice grab from him as well.
First career interception,
so it was a big one. Just all 3 levels of the defense I thought played solid today. Again, the penalties were kind of the only thing you can nitpick, but surrendering 12 points, 6 of them, you could argue were in garbage time, and they started to bring in the backups later into the campaign. Same thing on offense. I felt like kind of they were clicking on every level. You saw, like we touched on, good game from Drew, good game from the receivers, good game from the running backs. Tight ends didn't get super involved in this game. Maybe a little bit quieter from Tyler Warren. but they are missing a few tight ends, so maybe they didn't feel as confident in that unit heading into this game. A little bit thin on depth there. The offensive line, I thought, got really creative today. Played well, created some holes. The run game a little bit slow at the start, but kind of picked it up throughout the end. So I thought the run game was really strong. I mean, I don't know, would you say it was a stronger game for the run or the pass?
It's a tough one. I mean, I'm going to lean run just because you saw that depth in the offensive line. You saw a bunch of guys rotating in. Anthony Donka started at right tackle, rotated in with Nolan Rucci. I know that was a position battle that Franklin was talking about. But then you saw Cooper Cousins rotating in. I thought that was pretty important. Obviously, JB Nelson was moving around despite Big and Sal Wormley getting the start. And I think that's good. Obviously, you saw the running game really benefit just based on Andy Kotelnicki's scheme. You had Big, pulling from an emotion spot, which I thought, you just don't see an offensive line doing that all the time. But I thought it was important because Singleton, he had those 2 40-plus runs, which he looked a lot like his freshman self. I thought last year you kind of looked like he was slowing down a little bit. And he talked about during the offseason how a goal for him was just to play a little faster, and I think he looked the part just today. But then I asked him, what's that kind of like, having a bunch of guys rotate in with the depth, and he doesn't notice it, And I think it's important for him because in the previous years, the offensive line was kind of like a weaker spot, and for, at least externally, that people view Penn State. But that's kind of changed with Phil Troutman. I think he's done a tremendous job developing the younger guys, especially with Olu off to the NFL, Caden Wallace, Hunter Norzad. So I'm going to say the run game definitely was more impressive than the pass game today. But I don't think that's a bad look on the passing game. I think Drew did a tremendous job, and I don't think he really needed to throw the ball. I think the play calling today really kind of benefited both sides, which is something UB didn't really get last year because it was more the running game based on the play calling.
You said 2 40-plus yard runs for Singleton. I think both of them were exactly 40 yards, but I guess you're technically correct. Big day from Singleton. Yeah. Allen, I thought, struggled a little bit at times, especially the first half. Never really had those big chunk plays. He did catch a touchdown, though, so he got involved in the passing game, Singleton as well. So definitely something they've tried to emphasize this offseason. Definitely something that we've heard from Kotelnicki about getting his best players the ball. I thought that was interesting because Penn State only had 2 wide receivers catch the ball today, Harrison Wallace and Omari Evans. All the other receptions were tight end or running back. So it'll be kind of interesting throughout the year to see how that develops because we didn't really see anything from Julian Fleming today, who I would have guessed would have had at least a couple catches. I would have guessed would have played a bigger role, but apparently not. But regardless, Penn State gets out with a pretty dominant win, covers the spread easily. I believe it was bet down all the way to 8.5 points. So they easily cover, I think beat pretty much everyone's expectations for the matchup. Coming into a hostile environment, which after the rain delay wasn't as hostile, but certainly was at the start. Playing against a team that finished 9-4 and was entering the season with a lot of hype, a lot of momentum. So definitely a big win for Penn State to get the season started off 1-0. So that's it for this episode.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.